So today I'm going to be giving my full review on Stronger With You Absolutely by Emporio Armani. So this line is following the general trend of fragrances these days. You release an eau de toilette, an eau de parfum, and a parfum, and then sprinkle in some limited editions and fresh versions here and there. And that's essentially what we have here. They've kind of put a play on words throughout the line. So we had Stronger With You, the original, then we had Intensely instead of Intense, and then Absolutely instead of Absolute. So they're trying to change it up a little bit, even though they're still doing the exact same thing as everyone else is doing. That's all right though. I'm really happy about this scent. It turned out great, and I'm going to be sharing my full thoughts on it. I'm going to tell you how it smells, how it performs when you can wear it, and ultimately if I think it's going to be worth picking up. Let's start off with how this scent smells. So when you first spray this one on, it opens up with that familiar Stronger With You DNA. You know, it smells a bit like the original, and it smells a bit like Intensely as well. One of the main additions with this one is that there's a good amount of vanilla that comes through right off the bat. And I've said it before, but one thing that I'm really happy about with this one is that the chestnut note is back. So it kind of went full circle. The chestnut was in the original. They took it away. They took it out of Intensely. They took it out of the limited editions and Freeze, obviously, and they brought it back here with this one. And I really like how that note comes across. It has kind of a roasted, woody type of smell. To me, this fragrance has always given off a similar feeling to something like Replica by the Fireplace. Not saying that they are super similar scent-wise, but in terms of the type of images that it paints in my head, by the Fireplace, well, that kind of tells you what that makes me think of, and I've always gotten a similar feel with this type of scent. You know, this line is generally warm and cozy and sweet and kind of woody, and it just gives off a similar vibe for me. And I've always enjoyed wearing these fragrances in the wintertime. For me, I've always loved how the original Stronger With You smelled. It's just never performed well on my skin. That's from when it first came out too, so it's not like a reformulation thing or anything like that. It's just never really worked that well on me performance-wise. A lot of people get great performance out of it, but unfortunately I don't. Luckily, we've had things like Intensely and Absolute to solve that problem for me. So if you're someone who never really got good performance out of the original, look into some of these flankers. Another thing that I'm super happy about with Absolute or Absolutely is the addition of a nice rum accord in here, and it smells incredible. That rum mixes with the vanilla. You get that chestnut. There's also patchouli, so a general woodiness in the base, but all of that comes together, and I love it. I can't remember if I said this about this line or not, but I remember when I think Intensely came out, I want to say that I said, you know, I hope they put a boozy note in one of their flankers in the future. And again, I can't remember if it was this line or if it was a different line of fragrances I was talking about, but they ended up doing that. Even if I didn't say it about this line or not, I could always go for a boozy note and a scent, and here it's done really well. It's not too strong, you know, it's still a designer scent. It can't be too crazy, but it's tasteful. There's just a little bit that won't put people off, and it'll keep people like us happy. You know, people who want something with a little bit more of a unique flavor. So I've covered most of the note breakdown already, but I'll just read the whole thing off. Up top, we have rum, elemi, bergamot. In the mid, lavender and davana. In the base, chestnut, vanilla, patchouli, cedar. So I kind of touched on most of those there. Woods, vanilla, rum. You get the point here. It's warm, it's sweet, it's inviting, it's sexy, and this here, to me, is a really solid improvement over the rest of the line, the original and Intensely. You know, this DNA kind of has the, you know, trendy, sweet type of smell that's going around these days. You know, just kind of the new next wave of scents. But what I like about Absolute is that it kind of bumps it up. It makes it a bit more unique, and I really enjoy that. If the original and even Intensely is maybe a bit too playful for you, or maybe a bit on the boring side, you may want to consider trying Absolutely if you haven't completely given up on the line. It's worth noting they have Stronger With You Leather, I believe is what it's called, in the all gold bottle. It's a limited edition. I actually have it sitting back there. And that one's really solid, but again, it's a limited edition. That one's kind of hard to come across, and it's a bit more expensive too. Stronger With You Freeze is really solid as well. It's a nice fresher take on the line without going straight up citric and completely straying away from the line here. You know, it just adds a little bit of a hint of freshness while still maintaining this DNA. But I find for me, as it sits, absolutely is my favorite. This thing here just nails it for me, primarily because you get a whole bunch of vanilla out of this one, and I'm a huge fan of vanilla. It's a nice, realistic, syrupy, sweet, heavy vanilla, mixing with the woods, mixing with the rum. It is undeniably sexy. So let's go ahead and talk about performance here. This one is a parfum, and so you would expect good performance out of it, and for me, I get good performance out of it. So unlike the original, which just didn't really hold up on my skin, this one definitely does. Longevity is sitting around that 9-10 hour mark, sometimes could go for even longer. I find projection for me to be a little bit more mild. That is making sense given the concentration of this one. So it's not a room filler or anything like that. But I like that because given the profile of this one, just kind of a warmer, sweet vanilla scent, fragrances like this, I want to sit a little bit closer, and that's what this one does. To me, this could almost work really nice on a date night. It's not going to be so strong in terms of projection where it's completely, sabotaging your date's nose. It's going to be a bit more refined where she'll want to come in and be able to get closer and smell it and not completely burn her nose out. Also, just in general, for an evening out, if you want something that's going to be a bit more quiet, you don't want like a Versace Eros projection monster, and you want something that's going to be maybe just a bit more classy while still having a bunch of sweetness for fall and winter time. The performance of this one, I feel, suits that pretty well. So I'm happy with it. All around performance is great on my skin. In terms of when you can wear this one, definitely going to be a fall and winter time scent, just like the rest of the line. Again, I think it could work nice on a date, on an evening out, that sort of thing. It has just a bit more of a classy, refined smell compared to the original, so you could dress it up maybe a little bit if you wanted to. But if you wanted to go completely formal, I personally would choose something else because it still does have a good amount of that young, playful sweetness. But I can see myself starting to reach for this one a lot as we get probably later into fall where temperatures really start cooling off. And then of course, working into wintertime, this one's going to be on my skin a bunch, and I'm pumped for it. And finally, do I think this one's worth picking up? If you're a fan of the lineup, absolutely. If you've already collected all of the other ones and you're collecting them because you like these fragrances, then it's definitely worth picking up because you're going to love this one as well. Or if you're a completionist and you just like to have every fragrance of every line, like kind of myself, and of course it's worth picking up because you're getting a great smell and of course a cool looking bottle. Now, if you're someone who wasn't a big fan of the original, and I touched on this earlier, but just to reiterate, maybe you will like this one. Again, don't get me wrong, it is still kind of playful and sweet, but in a bit more refined way as well. So they kind of took a little bit of that away and bumped it up a notch in terms of its its maturity, I suppose. The maturity level went from 4 to 6. Okay, so not a big jump there. Again, it's still pretty sweet, but I think, if you want to give it another chance, or if you want to give the line in general a chance and you're not the biggest fan of overly sweet fragrances, this would be the one that you would probably want to try. If you like vanilla, if you like rum, if you like woods, this one here is super hard to dislike. That's going to do it for me. That's my thoughts on Stronger With You, absolutely. Let me know your thoughts down below if you've tried it yet. A lot of you probably haven't, given that it is kind of hard to get right now. So if you haven't tried it, let me know if you're excited to. I will link all of the other Stronger With You flankers down below to Discounters so you can check those out. I also want to thank my channel members for supporting the channel and getting access to these videos early and hanging out with me on Discord. If you guys want to get in on the action, hit the join button down below or in the video description. You can join up and hang out with us one-on-one, get bonus videos, get access to these videos in advance, chat with me one-on-one in Discord, ask me any questions, that sort of thing. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one.